Kamala Lopez's birthday today. My wife sending her a happy birthday from the stage here at the Lunch Therapy Interview Friday. Yes, and everybody knows, of course, birthdays are not real. So enjoy it. Enjoy the illusion. Kamala's turning 92 today. Yep. And way. All right, let's get into the show. We got an incredible guest today, Abby Schachner. She is a hilarious comedian and just a really eclectic, creative person like we like on the show. Let's go. It's Lunch Therapy. Happy birthday, Kamala Lopez. Thank you for being my partner in this world. Your love and nurturing and excitement is indispensable to me, I guess I must say. So I love you. Happy birthday. Okay, here we are. I'm sitting here by this woman. I'm in this weird pool, and this is one of my favorite places to be, in the rain. Thanks for all the happy birthday wishes out there. Tina Adams is here. We got a good crowd. I've got a great guest for y'all today, and we're going to breathe, but I just want to tell you about Abby. Abby, I met her at the Fourth Wall, which is where all the comedians go and do their open mics and talk with one another and commune. We've had Joe Menente on the show, who runs the place. Abby is a person who toured with Second City. She's a writer. She's an artist. She writes children's books. She does stand-up comedy. We're going to explore all of that stuff. Jenny Sykes is here. Thank God. Thank God. You did not miss Kamala's birthday. You are experiencing it now. Yes. William Shatner's niece is on today. Oh, William Shatner. Yes. No, Schachner. All right, let's get into our breathing because we're going to need it. Because our guest wrote a book, a children's book on breathing, so she's kind of an expert. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. Abby brought her yoga mat today, so we might be getting down, doing some yoga, so I hope you're all ready. I think she's a yoga teacher too. I don't know. We're going to find out. One more time, in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. All right, let's get a rainbow happening. Look, the rainbows are out. Well, that rain. And now we got some rainbows. Howard is here. Howard, so good to see you here. And I'm going to bring Abby on soon. So we're going to do one more breath because I see she's exited the scene. Hopefully she will be able to be in the frame. In through the nose, out through the toes. Let it go. All right, it's Interview Friday. Here we go.
I don't have mental telepathy. That's what he said out of his window. I said, you don't need mental telepathy. You need your eyes. And then I turned around and I blew him up with my...
Abby! Welcome.
Hi.
So great to see you. Thanks for being on the show. I just showed that little clip there from the improv because I think that I like the kind of existential nature of your comedy. One of the things that I really enjoy with you, okay, is at the fourth wall, you stick out as like a really intelligent person, but also somebody that enjoys absurdity and somebody that gets my references. Like in your routine, you reference Carrie, you reference the movie Porky's. And so I really appreciate that about you. But I also want to say this one thing that I was telling my friend. I was talking to him about comedy, and he said he went to see a comedy show, and it was put on by Pretty Funny Women at Flappers. This was just like a week ago. And I was pointing out people that had been on my show. And I said, I'm trying to get Abby on the show. And he said, Abby, that woman is hilarious. He's like, yes. He says she is so funny. That was the one person that he pointed out was like, she is hilarious. So welcome to the show. So glad that you're here.
Me too.
All right. We started the show. We just had to start into the show. We didn't even know if you were going to be able to appear on camera because we were fussing around with the microphones and everything. So Abby, let's see. There's some people here in the chat room here. Joel thinks Porky's should have gotten Best Picture that year. Yeah, I think so. Don't you agree? I mean, I agree. Marshall's getting weepy. Okay. So, Abby, you are from Ohio, right?
I'm from Toledo.
From Toledo, Ohio. And you discovered, this is what my research tells me, you discovered Second City from a book. Is that right?
Yeah. After college, I worked at the Berkshire Theater Festival as an intern.
Yeah.
And then I went to Ann Arbor, and I saw this book called Something Wonderful right away. It was a book about like kind of the beginnings of Second City, and I started driving to Chicago from Toledo and taking classes.
Really? Just to take classes, you drove from Toledo to Chicago. Wow. I was in the Berkshires as well. Yeah. I was at Shakespeare and Company for a year, which was, I loved the Berkshires.
Ooh.
Were you an actress or what?
Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, Keanu Reeves was there.
Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, he was there.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't go there. I didn't go there to act. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a performer. I started creating shows in college, like my senior year in college. But I think it's funny because I'm 50, Joel, and I've been doing this for so long, like just creating. But even I always kind of step aside, and I don't know when at the Berkshire Theater Festival. No, I was not an actor there. I was doing like some office thing, which I should never do. I can't,
Well, that's something that I want to talk with you about because you're a super eclectic person and you have a lot of creative impulses. And I'd like to explore that. I want to find out what it was like at Second City, though, at that time, in that time period. What was it, like the early 90s or something?
Yeah. I guess I got there in 93. It was amazing. I think it was a wonderful time. On the main stage was Steve Carell, Steve Colbert, Dave Rosowski, Ruthie Rudnick, Jackie Hoffman, Jenna Jolovic. They were just very talented people. Adam McKay was there. It was just a revolutionary time, I think, in improv.
Yeah.
I was just a student then, but still, these people were so talented.
I was there just before that, like I guess it was 90, 91. I was at Steppenwolf Theater there at that time. So yeah, I know that culture, the whole Chicago culture. I mean, it probably still is, but the theater culture there and the improv culture is just a great place to exist as a creative person because everybody is so supportive of one another and so creative, and everybody's kind of focused on what they're doing on stage rather than necessarily what they're doing in film or some other place,
For sure.
So
I think it was an amazing place.
Did you come up through the ranks? Because you said that you toured with them eventually, right?
I did. I did. There at the time when I was there, and probably when you were there too, there was
Hmm.
Improv Olympic and Annoyance. So
Yeah.
we hopped all three.
I
And
love the
then
Annoyance Theater. Did you do work at the Annoyance?
they're wild. Well,
That was so great.
I
Jane
studied with
Lynch and all
Meg
those people. Yeah.
and, and they were wild.
Yeah.
Involved, but they let me do shows there.
Hmm.
Uh, Very generous, very generous. But yeah, no, I just toured. Um, and that was fun and interesting, but touring was also hard because I think when you lose your allies,
Yeah.
allies are important. And
Mm.
Joel, even you mentioning feedback about what you liked about my comedy,
Yeah.
we don't often get that. You don't
Yeah.
often get that. So like in an improvising, I think having allies is very important because you're putting yourself out there, and part of it is being, supporting, but being supported. And if people don't want to support your, you know, I think a combination of personalities is really important in who you're
Hmm.
performing with.
Yeah. I
And
think
sometimes
that makes
things
sense.
shifted. Yeah.
When you toured, where did you go was it just around
Well,
the country, or was it in the Illinois area, or?
oh no, no. I mean, my favorite was probably the ski tour. We got to do like go to Telluride and various
What?
places, and just yeah. No, it was a 3-week tour. So that's when it
Wow.
really depended on too if you're getting along with people. That was a tough one though because one of my biggest allies lost his brother. We had major shifts, and a lot of my it was John Farley, and he lost his brother
Wow. Oh
Chris,
yeah.
and
Yep.
it made for a very uncomfortable. Um, you know time. But
Yeah.
no, that West Coast tour was wonderful, and then we went to the South, and I remember one time like taking the rental car and seeing like a tornado site. That was really interesting because we were in Alabama, so I figured I'd go and see
Yeah.
tornado destruction. Tornado
So
destruction. That was a fun time.
yeah. So you're freezing a little bit. I'm not sure whether we should do the thing where you go out and come back in because you're kind of freezing. We can totally hear you, and that's fine.
Okay.
The I want to show you something while maybe
Okay.
we wait for that to unfreeze. We were talking about relaxation and keeping your head right, which is something that I want to talk about on the show. And I want to show you one way that I like to keep my head right, which is through watching bird cams. Have you ever watched any of these?
I've never done it. I think I saw one with eagles one time, like they had eggs.
This is a live cam. We got our live. This is from Ohio, so this will probably bring back memories.
Oh,
This is a bird cam at a lake in Ohio. This is by Bird Watching Headquarters, lakeside bird feeder camera. And that's one of the ways that I like to keep, my mind right, is watching bird cams. Have you heard of the movement "Birds Aren't Real"?
no.
Yeah, there's a movement in the that's saying that all in America, all the birds were replaced by drones and spy drones. So there
Oh
are
no.
no actual birds. But I don't want to alarm you there. This is not about alarming you in any way. Let's go. Let's do the thing where you go out and come back in. I'll bring you
Okay, how
back
do I
in.
do?
Just I'm going to kick you out and then just come back, and then I will
Okay.
vamp a bit because I want to be able to see your face.
Okay.
Okay, so the show is still moving here. I'm going to show you all. We're going to do some healing vibrations because, oh, this is great. This is the water tower. This is a fantastic hand pan here. And it's this guy. His name is Sylvain Paislier. And I've had him on the show before, but I thought I'd bring it back because it's so beautiful. Here we go. He is in an old water tower, an old rusted out water tower, and he's playing the hand pan. And I'm a big fan of the hand pan. I've never actually played one myself, but I think you'll find it healing, calming when we have internet problems. Hopefully Abby will be back. risk letting her go, of course. Spooky. Greg says it's spooky. It is kind of spooky. We do want to ask, Ginny Sykes says, yeah, if you have all questions for Abby, because it's super interesting, her background. Del Close. Was Del Close at Second City? This is a good question for Abby. All right, let's get on with this. I think I got her back. Here we go. Moving along. Abby, you're back. So good to see you.
Back.
Thank God.
I'm on the laptop, though. Again.
You are? Okay, we're doing the laptop. Now, we had a question while you were gone. Ginny Sykes was asking if Del Close was at Second City when you were there teaching.
He was.
Yeah?
He was. And I think he was a very performance-arty teacher.
Really?
Like, he really liked the people who thought differently. He did solo improv, like, at the I feel like my class was the beginning of solo improv.
Oh, you're getting feedback? Yeah?
Is it okay?
Yeah. Are you on, okay, now a technical thing. Are you on Safari or are you on Chrome?
Oh, I'm probably on Safari.
Yeah, Safari for some reason has a bug and it gives you feedback. If you can get on Chrome, do it. I'll do it, and I will. I've got more healing stuff, more therapeutic videos to show. So come back. Yeah. All right. This is the way. This is how we deal with technical issues. Is we go right to the therapy. Are there any other questions for Abby? Let's see. Watching fake birds all day while they watch you and steal your information. What are you doing? Yeah, I know. Well, they can't see me through the internet, I don't think they can. You hear her fine. That's good. But what it does is it gives her feedback, and then she hears herself, and then it becomes very difficult. So, we can take a little moment. We can breathe. I've got healing vibrations on here too, which is also very good. Oh, now I'm offline. Great. That's just great. Now here we go. Healing vibrations. The internet gods are trying. They're trying to help us. But maybe they had to replace a router or something in the internet. Seamless segue. Yeah. I want to learn what solo improv is. So yeah, that's something I want to talk to her about too, because she moved to stand up from doing improv, and she was talking about how you got to have your allies, and when you are performing stand up, you're just kind of by yourself, right? Sounds oxymoronic. Just another day on lunch therapy. It's so true. My life is solo improv. I think I've scripted this thing. That's the other thing that I want to talk to Abby about, and she is coming back, and everything's going to be cool. But I want to talk to her about about being somebody who writes, somebody who paints, somebody who does stand-up, all these different things all together and how they interact with each other, and whether she started doing stand-up because she felt like you don't need to necessarily rely on anybody in stand-up, just yourself. Wasn't solo improv a Bond villain? I think Greg Wordle should do some stand-up, but I'm happy with him just writing jokes because I actually used one of his jokes. I was at the federal bar 2 weeks ago, and I used his joke that he gave me, and it went over great, and I thank him for that. It was the one about the man who ate a Cessna. Good point, Todd. Good point. Okay, this is another thing to think about is, do you have a plan in life? Like, you know how some people, they make a dream board or a vision board, and some people, they plan their life out like 5 years from now, where do I want to be? And 10 years from now, where do I want to be? I want to ask the chat room, maybe Ginny Sykes. Let's see, Ginny says, can you ask Abby whether she writes on stage? That's an interesting one too. Okay, we'll remember that. But I want to ask Ginny Sykes, do you plan your life out and say, are you this kind of organized person where you're like, I know what I'm going to be doing in 5 years, or I know what I want to be doing in 10 years? Checks in the mail, Greg. That's right. No, he gave it freely to me. Freely given. But, maybe in the future he has a profession as a joke writer. I think maybe Abby got sick of me. It could be. Hopefully she's coming back. I've never made a plan in my life. I go to sleep, I wake up, have some food. Interesting. Spence says, it's okay, Joel. Just tell me who wrote Nobody Feels Any Pain. Nobody feels any pain. I don't know who wrote that. Okay, so we got the healing vibrations. What else we got? Oh, this is a delightful story about a little fish. I think it's a clownfish that became friends with a diver.
Maybe this fish is just coming looking to be fed or something.
Man proposes, God disposes. Interesting. Wait for the rug to be pulled out from under me again.
He took us all over the reef. It was like he was actually leading us.
Plan the plan, work the plan, adjust the plan, because you'll never know what will happen. Right. Like today, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know whether Abby's going to come back. I don't know whether I was just too high maintenance. It could be. She could be like, screw that Joel guy, that lunch therapy. He's, stressing me out with my computer setup. But I don't think that's what's happening. I think she's probably just trying to get on.
He's also slightly bigger than the other butterfly fish.
So this fish became friends.
2 years ago, over 60 dives, and he'll
60 dives.
and say hello.
And he always comes and says hello.
cutest thing.
Let me check to see if
wave
she's
to
like
him, and I
emailing
also
me or
talk
anything
in the
like that.
water. Crazy, I know.
Oh, the
As soon as
internet.
he sees the hand motion or the wave,
Gotta
he
love it.
gets excited and will come.
So there's the story of the fish. It's really kind of cool.
I think he just likes the interaction. I can't explain why, but it seems like whenever I call to him, it's like he recognizes that it's me, and so he'll come and say hi. He shakes so much when he sees us. He looks like a...
This is more proof that animals, some of them, want to interact with humans, and it's not just cats, and it's not just dogs. Abby has a dog. Hopefully we're going to see that. Also, one of the things that I want to do in the future is I want to have guests in studio. So maybe as we're moving away from all this isolation, we will probably be able to bring guests in studio, sort of like live in studio. It's the butterfly teacher. Yeah, it's like my octopus teacher. This is the butterfly teacher. He's like an excited puppy. Ginny is everywhere. I saw her perform at the Boba Bar in Simi Valley. That was great. Ginny is like, she's like storming the stage everywhere. I've got to go catch her act. She's so many places, though. It's hard to even pick one. The internet is for the birds. Tina says, if we plan too much, I think we get disappointed and the plan doesn't go as planned. Kind of like today. I love the story about the fish. Yeah, it's really nice, isn't it? Studio is great. What does it mean, studio is great? Let's start with low expectations. I was talking about that, and this is probably something they have in business, because I'm just learning about business at this late age. But one of the things they say is you got to manage your clients' expectations. That's what they were saying, so that you don't like. And then Todd Lee always says, under promise, over deliver. I promised to have Abby Schachner on the show today, but I seem to have not delivered. Failure to make a plan can be a plan to fail. Interviews in studio is a great idea. Yeah, I think so. I think especially, yeah, this is part of her improv. She's probably like totally stressing out somewhere. Let me see what I can find out. Nothing. Oh, well, I hope her internet didn't go out completely. Or maybe, I broke her internet. This is from the Oregon Zoo. This is a dwarf mongoose opening eggs filled with treats. You got to listen to the sound of this because the sound is quite good. Oh, so want to be in the studio audience with David. Wonder how well that show would go. With my brother? Is that what you're saying? We bring my brother in? That would be good. Say it with a smile, whether it's good or bad news. She's avoiding the dance break. You ever hear of a phone? Yeah, I would like to call her, but I don't think I have her number. I could try. Call her on the phone. Put it on speaker. Okay, she's back. She's back. Yes, your brother. This is great. Abby's back. Right in time for the roller coaster effect. I'm bringing her on. Here we go. Abby Schachner. Yay! You're back.
Dad, let me
I'm
tell you
so
something.
glad to see you.
I'm sorry I missed whatever delightful thing that was. When this first started, my cat spilled a cup of coffee. There's splatter on the wall. It went on my keyboard over there.
Oh no!
Then I had to do the hard. Then so that's probably done. Then I had to do the hardest thing, which was download something on a new thing. It takes me like a half an hour to post a picture. I don't know how to do it. When people send me the things for shows, I don't know how to upload.
Sorry.
So anyway,
I'm sorry because, I'm trying, but I know this is kind of a difficult system. But I really enjoy the ability to like have comments and have all the people interact with us. So I'm ready for it. If you go, if there's an internet thing or the keyboard thing, is your dog there?
Yeah. Oh, where do you see a dog?
I saw the dog earlier, and you said that there's a cat. You have a dog and a cat.
Yes, I do.
And they get along?
I found the cat in a dumpster a couple months ago by the fourth wall in NoHo. And, I brought it home and they became really good friends. So it's nice.
Oh, that's super nice. Usually when you get animals separately, they don't become friends. You have to like raise them together. But for some reason, you must have a super nice dog.
I really do.
Yeah. All right. We're back. I'm so glad to have you back. Everything is going very smoothly. This is exactly the way we planned it. We were actually talking about this in the chat room while you were gone. And Ginny Sykes said, do you write on stage? How do you write?
Ginny, let me tell you something. I'm in a real bit of a pickle. I really, truly write. All I do is think of jokes. Then I go to mics. And when it's good, the good stuff comes when you write at, maybe extend the joke. But I'll tell you, you don't want me going up there. I've realized this this past week. It's been incredibly painful. I really do need to start with a joke and or I'm doomed. I'm long-winded and a downer, so like I really do. Yes, I write all the time. Am I organized? No. Do I have no structure? Yes. So like I have no structure. So it's best when I do shows, and I don't know if this is the best method because there's always these outer, things when you're doing shows. There's always something to contend with. There's an energy, you might give up your power, whatever. So I can see how having a set list would be important. I write jokes, I have no set list. And that's really what the
Jenny says you're so much fun on stage. And I think that that's true too. That's one of the things I appreciate about the fourth wall is that is a stand-up experience as well. It might not be the same audience. It might be a bunch of comedians. They might not laugh as much, but it's a great experience as a comedian because you're free. You're not trying to impress anybody. You're not trying to please the people that you brought to the show. You know what I mean? You're not trying to even let anybody know that you're funny. You're just doing the work,
But Joel, that's a healthy way to look at it. I don't know if I always look at it that way. And in fact, I think I definitely am in the phase, and I'm sure, oh, please. I wish.
You got guns. Look at that. You do. You're in great shape.
because this is where it's loose. But anyway, I like to show off my imperfections. That's how I lead. That's how I lead in everything in life, and I need to reverse it. But I don't know if it's always that way. In fact, maybe I'm going about it wrong because I think for some reason, maybe I'm caring too much. I need to change it up and get out of the fourth wall for a little bit. You know, that's not healthy too when you only go to the same mics, because then you blow up structure because you want to keep it fresh. Mm-hmm. But honestly, just the past couple times I've been performing, even on stage, I shoot myself in the foot, which I realized I think I was born with a foot in my mouth. But to be positive, I think that's better than being born eating your own shit, because like that's deadly. But the other one's just uncomfortable, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been suffering on stage, and I'm scared a little bit because I'm going to San Diego and I have 2 shows and I'm feeling a little fragile. I don't like my approach. I didn't say my approach is the best. I question my approach when it comes to shows, mm-hmm. and, you know, and yeah.
So are you saying that you don't generally have a set list, or you have it and you kind of throw it away and start?
No.
Just doing your thing.
I don't generally. I mean, I feel like there might be a couple of it's so confusing because, you know, it's like I like generating. I like generating material, but I realized, like, I was thinking today, like sometimes I would do something like twice in a Zoom, like a Zoom mic, and then feel like I did it already and not stick with the joke. There's something to say for being comfortable. What would it be like, Abby, if you would do pieces that you're comfortable in as opposed to things that you've never said before, or just the Comedy Heights?
Comedy Heights. All right.
Yeah, Comedy Heights. It's 2 different places. I don't know what it is. It's my first time going. I'm staying in the worst motel. I hope I survive it. Anyway, nobody gave it a positive review. But no, I do see how, because the biggest fear, what I hate, there's a couple things, because now I'm learning there's other things I hate, which is no laughs, and then you're digging yourself out of a hole. And I tend to sabotage, so then I might go too dark, and they don't like me yet, so it's done. I'm done for. But I wish I made it easier. But the one thing I don't like, though, is when you do a set list and you're stuck behind it, like Saran wrap. Yeah. That is a really bad feeling. So, like, I don't know. That's a really bad feeling, and so is coming unprepared and never getting a laugh.
Yes. Yeah. Well, okay. There's a thing that happens with comedians, and I'm struggling with this right now too, because I'm going back out after a long time of doing this show. And this show is a completely different animal. It's a lot of, you know, interviewing and sketch comedy, and sometimes I throw in some stand-up comedy, but I never do this. I try not to do the same thing twice on this show. So I'm not honing material. I'm just generating new content. And so when I go back out on stage, if I first of all, I'm kind of rusty in that environment, because it's like the live, I think all of us are a little bit that way, unless we've just been powering through like Ginny Sykes. But, you know, you feel like you don't want to do the same material all the time, but you know how it is. Writing is rewriting. And if you really want to have a really solid, you know, 6 minutes or whatever, you got to do that in front of people multiple times to really hone it down. And I have a tendency, like you, to over-explain. So I need to cull out all those over-explanations and find the punchlines, you know?
Yeah, I think sometimes when I am trying to make sense of things and trying to justify, believe me, that's the first thing I got ready was betting. I got bet. I actually have a quilt in my car that I think my dog urinated on like a couple months ago. And if I have to sit on that, if I have to sleep, I will do it. Yes. I feel like when I kill the jokes is when I'm trying to explain the deeper meaning. Like, you don't need to know the direct, like I did yesterday. I went to a mic and I told them all the things about my father tried to kill my mother growing up. He hired a hitman, undercover cop.
Really?
But I gave too much information with 5 minutes. I told you this, and I told you this, and I told you that, and there was no humor. And I mean, I have even a joke to that, the one that I just said, but like, I don't need to tell you everything. Like, I can tip the hat, but I don't need to like show you every dandruff, every gray, every dandruff. I don't need to show you that.
Yeah, you have
But
to like
sometimes,
weed it out. You have to weed out all that stuff, and that takes time. And it also the other thing that I find is that people perceive you differently than you perceive yourself. So what you think is funny sometimes, they totally don't relate to. But some other thing, they like. There's an example in the bit that I was doing recently where I say I'm from Seattle, right? And in my mind, being from Seattle is super cool, and it's, you know, grunge and all this, and a great, beautiful place and all this stuff. But when I say it, people laugh like I'm saying, you know, I'm from Nowheresville or something. You know what I mean? They laugh.
right.
And so I got to lean into that rather than the thing that I think about Seattle. You know what I mean? Or my perception of what it is. And so you only learn that from an audience, and you only learn that from doing it, you know, a few times. What's interesting is realizing the commonality between being a comedian performer is to teaching. Greg's a teacher, which I can't even imagine. Can you imagine trying to keep those kids entertained all day? All day?
Well, I'll tell you, I can imagine, not all day, but like, I'll tell you that I was a teacher. I taught yoga for a long time to kids. And honestly, what I would find hard is to not be saying appropriate things, you know, to all of a sudden, or want to be their friends. I know it's sick, and I'd be more of an entertainer to kids than an educator. Like, I think there's a difference.
I see. Yeah, right. There's definitely a difference. Now I'm looking at some chats here. Chuck said East Coast snobbery, but I guess he was talking about the Seattle and their idea of the West Coast or whatever like that. That might be true. It would be different in a different audience, right? It'd be different in Seattle.
That's like you coming in wet and then saying you're from Seattle.
Yeah.
Like you're dripping wet.
Right.
I think you've been out in the
Howard says Abby is authentic and real, and that's what we love about her. It's what we love about her. I agree. That's one of the things that I do love about you, and you're performing, and you stand out because you can see that you're like present. And that's one of the problems with people that have like really tight sets. The really good ones can be present in that tight set and also be ready to deviate and still, you know, maintain the structure or whatever. But that obviously is a skill. And I think that's why a lot of times actors can be good at comedy in the beginning, because they are good at pretending they're just fresh minting all these words, you know, all these bits. But Matt, right. I was trying to explain to my kids why we call blue tarps the Washington state flag. Blue tarps, because it rains on them, I guess.
Oh my God.
People used to wear garbage bags. Greg says, as a teacher, you have to prepare what you have to say and how to make it impactful to get your audience to buy into what you're trying to say, which I think is true with comedians as well. But okay, so why did you turn to stand? What I want to ask you, originally when you came out, when you were doing improv with Second City, what was your purpose? Or was your purpose just to enjoy yourself doing this? Or were you like, I want to be eventually on Saturday Night Live. I want to be a writer. I want to be an actor. I don't know. What were you looking to do?
I think I always wanted to be, honestly, I think besides, you know, and I really need to get my goals intact or whatnot, but like, well, first of all, I think it was the comedy writing that I always liked. I think it was the writing that struck me. And as a performer, I actually, and maybe this is just kind of what I'm going through too, is like, I have lived a life of being out and then hidden. I kind of, unfortunately though, the older you get, you watch the years go by faster. Like if you're hiding, the years go by fast. But no, it was definitely the comedy writing. And then I guess, you know, sometimes you think you're too old or you missed it or you don't know how to handle yourself in a room. I made some judgments that I wouldn't know how to handle myself with men from Harvard or really intelligent. I don't know what happened, or I felt like I failed with connections that I had.
Yeah.
And in terms of, and I've done solo shows though. I've created a lot of solo shows, and it's very different than stand up. It was more like Second City, like sketch style, but by myself. Never talked off the script, always stuck with the script, did characters, never told you directly about my life. And then the last solo show I did though in 2015, I did talk about my childhood, because I do feel like I see it play out now that I'm an adult. I see how that my father and my mother's dynamic really has affected me. So I talked about my life in a creative, you know, different kind of way. But I started doing stand-up because with solo shows, first of all, it's lonely. Your only community is with a class.
Yeah.
You have no other like support network for the most part. And
Yeah.
and I guess this is the first time I've really done anything that fits in a form, you know?
Interesting. Well, that's interesting because when you said it with a class, is that how you would develop your solo shows, in a class situation?
Not always, but sometimes, like, I
Yeah.
feel like, I would see other people even who had done yeah, just sometimes just for a kick, just for a kick. I
Yeah.
did a lot of hiding in classes though in my life, like even after Second City or when I went to film school,
You went
which
to film
I
school
should have.
too?
I did, and
Wow.
I wish I ought not knock it, but because I think it was good, but
Mhm.
and it was a good way to channel stuff. But I hid from the performing.
Yeah. Yeah, you hid from the performing.
Yeah,
But you can't hide from it because you have a desire to express yourself in that way, clearly.
I do, and I feel like one of my issues that I'm having as a comedian lately
Mhm.
is that I am so, like what Ginny asked me if I wrote, I am so hooked on jokes and performing, like I'm constantly thinking of jokes and performing,
Yeah.
that almost by the time I get on stage or at a mic, I just let that go and I'm not doing jokes. So like
Yeah.
I need space not to think about the joke, maybe set a timer and you write for a little bit of time, but like I have to like rethink, change my mind, because whatever I'm doing, like I'm not going to serve. I'm good. I can't continue the way I'm doing this. It's not good. If
Why
I want to
not
have a good,
though? Why not? Why
because
can't you?
I've left no space. Your life can't constantly be like I mean, like a
Yeah.
crazy person. Like someone gave me
Yeah.
$5 once in front of the CVS because they thought I was homeless, but because I was going over sets and I had my dog and sets of like I'm just always creating different ideas of how jokes can go together.
Yeah.
And I think it's exhausted me. I think it's like just let it go. Let it go. Trust the joke, trust the jokes. If I forget a word in my head, that I'm backing up and getting sidetracked, and it's fucked up. I probably need some,
What do you
meditation.
do? What do you do? Okay, so sometimes I feel like a bag of squirrels. Being a creative person, sometimes I just feel like there's all these squirrels running around me, and I don't know how to wrangle them. There's a lot of ideas, a lot of things. And what do you do? I meditate? I've been doing transcendental meditation to try and, I don't know, let things settle a little bit so that things can take shape. You mentioned that you teach or taught yoga. Do you do anything like that? I know you've said that you're not a spiritual person, but
No, I've fallen off the wagon. Like,
you've
I mean,
fallen off the wagon.
honestly, I have. And honestly, this is what's hard too. I said to myself, yeah,
You want to
well,
hear
I'll
that
tell you.
story? Okay.
Uh, I'll tell you. Um, I I rebel. I feel like the way this is what I really need to do. And if anybody has advice, please type it in.
Mhm.
It's the way one talks about themselves comedically and the way one lives their life. And honestly, I feel like I need to learn that I can talk one way about myself, but also, like, if I say I'm I'm unhealthy in this way, I really need to say, okay, I better work on that, as opposed to like think I've got to live it more. I got to live it more like that. I got to, like, if I say I don't do yoga unless
Yes.
it's in the cemetery, I'm not going to do yoga until it's in the cemetery. I'm going to be, if I say I'm not touching
I'm an
anybody,
authentic person on stage and off stage. And so I've got to, yeah, right. I think that's something we've talked about on the show a lot, and I think this is the therapeutic part of the show. Is the person that you are on stage isn't necessarily the person you are in life. It is like a different version of you, even though you want to be authentic. It's a different version of you that allows itself to indulge in self-pity or making fun of oneself or being like having low self-esteem or whatever, because these are all things that we can relate to, but we also want to be healthy individuals. So we can't get mired in the crazy squirrel that's running around in your head. But sometimes it can be very comical to watch somebody go from one emotion to another emotion to another emotion, one thought to another thought, especially if it's done well. It can be
Let me
hilarious. Yeah.
get something.
Okay. Let's see.
today, because I was going to be on this, I what is this? The Center of Spiritual Inquiry. I get these little magazines, or I used to get them, but I saw that 3 Keys to Inner Peace I had ripped out, and it wasn't even on this particular page that I think I liked what was on the other side, but I read this before you, and the 3 Keys to Inner Peace, one says conscious breathing, the other, number 2 is think consciously, and the third is love and gratitude. First of all, these are things that I probably need to practice, well, every day. But what concerned me was think consciously says if you can't control your thoughts or empower the thoughts you'd like to see grow, you will drift throughout life. Conscious thought is a key to lasting peace. And honestly, I think I've indulged so much that squirrel that you're talking about, besides the fact that it's gnawing on my brain thinking it's a peanut. I feel like or a walnut. I think that I need to get a little more conscious with my thoughts, and it's a key to lasting peace. I need to learn how to breathe away some of those thoughts.
I love that. Todd Lee says, this is just to your question, helps to have a coach to keep you accountable. Do you like to read? Do you like to read?
Well, Todd, my father hit me with a stick and made me read a book when I was 10. But O. Henry story. But I don't mind reading if it's easy. If it's Dostoevsky, I might have a problem. If it's on Pinterest and about a paragraph long, I can start. I buy a lot of things for Kindle. My intent, I wouldn't mind reading. I feel so much better when I do. How about that?
I like that.
I feel so much better.
Kamala says your stage character, however authentic, is a character given the heightened circumstances you're living in. Interesting. Matt says, in my experience, performance, Matt is a performer as well. In my experience, performance is inhabiting a persona even when you are trying to be authentic. Which, acting is like that too. You're playing a character, you're in different circumstances, but you're essentially drawing upon yourself. The best acting is.
Well, I have a question then. Let me ask this question, because I remember this plagued me in the early 90s when I got hired by Second City, and it might be related to this. I remember someone told me not to lose my voice, and I started panicking and wondering, what is my voice? What is my voice? I need to know my voice. Yeah. Tell me, Untethered Soul. Oh.
Untethered Soul. That's on our reading list. That's our reading list.
Okay.
Now. I just started. Go ahead.
Oh, interesting. I might have to take a picture of that so I can remember. Yeah. Then what do? Do I make a list of like the things that I think I am or give out? I mean, so I could stay in that container to separate? Like, how do you know what your voice is in other ways?
To say that you're sending a persona out to do the work of performing, it's still a part of you, just not all of you. Just like you're a different person depending on who you're with. A little bit different, because we play roles throughout the day, actually.
I don't know how many roles I play. I'm getting closer and closer to playing the role of like a nut. That's scary. I love
that. Yeah. So, okay. So I want to, is there a way that we can possibly hear the story about the hitman? Is there a way that we can hear that? Is it a long one?
Well, I told you. I mean, I'll do the best I can, but I told you that I shared it in 5 minutes yesterday, and I left feeling very crappy.
Okay, you got more than 5 minutes. You got whatever you want right now.
I don't even, honestly, I'll say this. I don't, first of all, it starts with the fact that my mother and my father never should have been married. My mother wanted someone, my father was a doctor, but he was a criminal, and a slumlord. He did a lot of things that my mom didn't particularly like. He also was very cheap and didn't spend money. And that bothered my mother. And a very big game player. And basically what happened was my mom, this even happened, they were already divorced. And they probably divorced when I was like 3. But I guess maybe around 6. He hired a hitman who was an undercover cop. My mom was about to marry the wealthiest man in town, let's say, a very wealthy man down the street. Ouch. My father, I told you, was very cheap, but he was a doctor, bizarrely cheap. And like we're talking like search botulized cans at the
Oh
discount.
no,
Goes to the
no.
store. Yes, botulized cans.
It's a sickness.
It is a sickness. I mean,
Yeah.
it can get worse. I don't want to
Yeah.
scare anybody, but no, he hired a hitman who was an undercover cop, which
Yeah.
also could mean that my mom and stepfather sent, it could mean that, how does an undercover cop show up really?
Exactly.
But an undercover cop and and apparently we were I remember certain aspects about it. We were with him the day it happened because we had gone to the hospital, my brother and I, who's 5 years older than me. And it was a different kind of day because usually we do rounds with my dad, like check on patients. But that day we spent a lot of time in the doctor's lounge.
Uh-huh.
And my father had received a phone call while I was at the hospital that day. It was actually my mother's birthday, just so you know. It's perfectly dated.
Oh my God! Wow.
Mother's birthday. And he got a phone call that the hitman said he had a sore throat. I have the recording of it. The tape of it. The hitman said he had a sore throat, and my dad said he'd get right to it right away, and he went out in the parking lot to give him $11,000 from his trunk, and he was arrested. And then,
oh my God, this is like a real story.
It is, and I watched my dad on the news that night.
On the news, yeah, of course.
And, yeah, so just my parents fought a lot about money, and they're very different personalities. A very strong personality. You don't want to hear it. It's pathetic.
I love it. I mean, it's very interesting. We love interesting stories on this show. I do want to, because we're gonna have to end the show pretty soon. But I mean, I could talk to you all day. But I do want to point out that you have 3 children's books. You have one that's on breathing. You have.
I smoked all throughout making it. I thought, as I made it, I thought one day I'm going to be on whatever.
Were you like speaking from your ideal self or something like that? Or the person that maybe breathes more and doesn't smoke? And maybe it was like you were, I don't know, channeling that? And maybe that was still your authentic self? You know, Kamala says the trick to avoid being affected by the world's response to your voice. The trick is to avoid being affected by the world's response to your voice. Well, it's hard for a stand-up comedian. But she says your voice emanates from within you, and the outside world simply responds to it. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's almost like, I think the trick is to not let that measure your worth. Like the response.
Yeah.
Oh, you're physical.
Who are you? You're not your emotions, your physical being, your stories. That being the case, who are you at the core? We are all connected. Well, that goes super deep. That is a rough one to handle. No, it's actually really good, I guess. My best friend in college had a father like that. He would put a light bulb on the thermostat to fool the system into staying off. We would wake up and the glass of water next to the bed was frozen. So he was trying to pretend the heat was on. That's hilarious. I wish I was like that. I'm not like that. I mean, I wish I was somewhat like that. Okay, so the book on breathing, the children's book, you've got another one called The Spot and another one called When Monsters Are Happy. That's the name of it, right? The great illustrations in these books too.
I show you some, like these.
Oh yeah. Look, and do you do the paintings too?
I do. I mean, I learned to do paintings to try to make my worlds real. But then it's like what I was saying about stand-up. Oh, that's.
I'm going to bring you back on. Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear you. We can hear you. What were you going to say? And I'm trying to find out how to get you back on.
I was going to say it's like stand-up. I just move on to the next thing, and then I don't always put it out in the world like I'm supposed to.
Right. That's the important. Sometimes you got to get some traction. You got to spend some time getting some traction, which, I'm guilty of this as well. Very guilty of this, but this is beautiful and fun.
That was the beginning of like me, just like this, the monsters one were cut out. So like I was teaching myself how to draw. Then The Spot is, practicing. I really need to add drawing into my life because I like it because I don't have to think in words.
I had this incredible experience because I was having trouble learning lines super fast because I come from the theater. And Vernis Clear was a coach of mine, and she had me start drawing lines out in pictures. And all of a sudden, I've had a great time. I have all these journals of pictures and stuff, but I also learned a hell of a lot about how my mind works. And I think drawing is something that really helps me in life. There's also dolls in here. You make dolls.
Yeah, I have some of
These
the
are
dolls next.
so radical. Look, some of them, I mean, they're just so cool. I love that one with it's like a vampire.
Yeah, that's a vampon. It's a vampon.
It's a tampon, isn't it?
Yeah. I one time created a little idea, and I had a little theme song that went, Vampon, the vampire tampon, he can't get any blood because he's a pervert. And it's about a tampon that wants to be with like a young cheerleader, but only menopausal women like him. It's terrible. What do you do? God. What do you do? Where do you put them? Where do you?
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Oh, those cigarette dolls down there, the butt heads. I was going to make 20 of those and quit smoking. This was about 15 years ago, but I ended up making 16 and I continued smoking.
So, Pamela loves it anyway. She loves the smoking ones too. You can get awesome. Congratulations, Chuck says. Music as well. Yeah, exactly. We should write songs. Okay, you can get your hands on Abby merch at her website, I believe. Also, you have an Etsy store, right?
I do, but I don't do anything. You just tell me what you want, and I'll make it for you.
So her website is yourfriendabby.com. If anybody wants to go there, that's what we're looking at now. I love the song. I love it when guests sing on the show. Oh God, did you do Vampon on stage?
I've never done Vampon on stage.
You should sing that on stage for sure. All right, we're going to have to now the dance break. I didn't tell you about this either, but at the end of the show, we dance. I'm going to play this guy. His name is Kyle McKearney. He's a fantastic performer. And let's see. So if you want to say anything in closing, I'm going to give you the stage to say whatever you would like to say. This is, for me, this has been a really fun time, really insightful, and somewhat confusing as well. Right?
Well,
like life.
Well, I feel much better, Joel. I really do, and I appreciate everybody, out there, making their comments and whatnot. And I just hope to get out of my head today on this drive, and I'll personalize them too. I'll do whatever you want.
All right. You're going to San Diego today. So thanks for taking the time, to be with us before you hit the road. Have fun down there. Take the stage. That's what I say. Take the stage.
Okay.
They'll have fun if you're having fun. That's for damn sure. All right. Okay. Now we're going to dance it out. I'm going to shake it out. Kyle McKearney.
I'm going to stand up.
All right, good. Here he is. So this is the Beatles.
Oh, darling, please believe me.
Yeah. All right.
I'll never do you no harm. Oh, believe me when I tell you, I'll never do you no harm. Oh, darling, if you leave me, I'll never make it alone. Oh, believe me when I beg you, I'll never make
Finally a real dancer. Yeah.
Yeah, when you told me you didn't need me anymore, well, I nearly broke down and died. Oh, when you told me you didn't need me anymore, well, I nearly broke down and cried.
Ain't it the truth, Tina? We're all trying to find our way. Everybody.
If you leave me, never make this on my own. Oh, believe me when I tell you, I'll never do this alone.
All right, thanks everybody for being here. Thanks, Abby. This is a gift. And we love you, and have fun down in San Diego.